The Philippine National Railways, or PNR, is a state-owned railway company in the Philippines, operating a single line of track on Luzon. As of 2015, it operates one commuter rail service in Metro Manila. Its services in the Bicol Region have been suspended. PNR restored its intercity service to the Bicol Region in 2011, and the Bicol Express and Isarog Express were scheduled to run daily between Manila and Ligao, but as of September 2013 these trains were suspended. PNR began operations on November 24, 1892 as the Ferrocarril de Manila-Dagupan, during the Spanish colonial period, and later becoming the Manila Railroad Company during the American colonial period. It became the Philippine National Railways on June 20, 1946 by virtue of Republic Act No. 4156. The PNR is an agency of the Department of Transportation and Communications. PNR used to operate over 1,100 kilometers of route from La Union up to Baikal. However, continued neglect in past decades reduced PNR's efficiency and railroad coverage. Persistent problems with informal settlers in the 1990s contributed further to PNR's decline. In 2006, typhoons Milonao and Reming caused severe damage to the network, resulting in the suspension of the Manila-Baikal services. In 2007 the Philippine government initiated a rehabilitation project aiming to remove informal settlers from the PNR right-of-way, revitalize commuter services in Metro Manila, and restore the Manila-Baikal route as well as lost services in northern Luzon. In July 2009, PNR unveiled a new corporate identity and inaugurated new rolling stock. In July 2014, the management conducted a test run. It was planned to resume the services of the Bicol Express service by about September 2014. Due to the damages brought by the Typhoon Ramasan, known in the Philippines as Bagyong Glenda, it was announced that the Bicol Express resumption of services would be further delayed until October and November 2014. However, as of April 2015 services had still not been resumed. History: on June 25, 1875, under a royal decree issued by King Alfonso XII of Spain, the required Inspector of Public Works of the Philippine Islands was requested to submit a railway system plan for Luzon. The plan, which was submitted 5 months later by Don Eduardo Lopez Navarro, was entitled Memoria sobre el Plan General de Ferrocarriles en la Isla de Luzon, and was promptly approved. A concession for the construction of a railway line from Manila to Dagupan was granted to Don Edmundo Sykes of the Ferrocarril de Manila-Dagupan, later to become the Manila Railway Company, Limited of London, on June 1, 1887. The Ferrocarril de Manila-Dagupan, which constitutes much of the North Main Line today, began construction in July 31, 1887 with the laying of the cornerstone for Tutuban Station, and the 195-kilometer line opened on November 24, 1892. Expansion of the Philippine railway network would not begin until the American colonial period, when on December 8, 1902, the Philippine Commission passed legislation authorizing the construction of another railway line, which would later form the South Main Line. Additional legislation was passed until 1909 authorizing further railway construction and the use of government bonds to finance them, and by 1916, 792.5 kilometers of track had been built by the company, which had reorganized itself as the Manila Railroad Company of New Jersey. Similar to other railroads at the time, the Manila Railroad Company suffered from financial difficulties during World War I, and on February 4, 1916, the Philippine Assembly passed Act No. 2574, authorizing the Governor-General to negotiate for the nationalization of the MRR's assets. The MRR was eventually nationalized in January 1917, with the Philippine government paying a plus or minus $8 million to the company's owners and assuming a plus or minus $53.9 million in outstanding debt. Consequently, the MRR's management shifted from British to American hands, and in 1923, Jose Copyright Pays became the first Filipino general manager. During the 1920s, the MRR embarked on a general program of improvements as a result of operating surpluses accrued over much of the decade. The A ±30 million program allowed for the extension of railway service on the North Main Line from Dagupan to San Fernando in La Union, the extension of the South Main Line to Legazpi in Albay, and the construction of several spur lines. Regular direct service between Manila and Legazpi was later inaugurated in January 1938, and by 1941, the MRR operated 1,140.5 kilometers of track. On December 14, 1941, at the start of World War II, the MRR was put under U.S. military control, and on December 30, the MRR management was ordered to allow U.S. military forces to destroy network infrastructure, resulting in very extensive damage to train facilities and right-of-way. Coupled with further damage during the Japanese occupation of the Philippines, where the Imperial Japanese Army operated services on a very limited basis using whatever could be salvaged, and further fighting in the American liberation of the Philippines a few years later, damages to railroad property amounted to around a ±30 million. By the end of the war, only 452 kilometers were operational, largely as a result of the United States Army performing temporary repairs on railroad infrastructure for military purposes. MRR property was later returned to the Philippine government on February 1, 1946. Following the war, the MRR was able to restore limited services, using surplus military equipment and payments made by the U.S. Army for use of railway facilities in the Philippines campaign. By July 1, 1947, funded by a ±20 million rehabilitation allocation set aside by the Philippine government, around 75% of the entire railway network prior to 1941 was rehabilitated. By 1951, with the MRR receiving a ±3 million in war reparations funds, 941.9 kilometers of track, representing 82.5% of the total railway network prior to 1941, was in operation. Later in the 1950s, the MRR fleet of trains was converted from steam to diesel engines, and the company was given a new charter under Republic Act No. 4156, becoming the modern-day Philippine National Railways. Natural calamities such as the 1973 and 1975 floods disrupted services and forced the closure of several parts of the main lines. On July 23, 1979, President Ferdinand Marcos issued Executive Order No. 546, which designated the Philippine National Railways as an attached agency of the Department of Transportation and Communications. In 1988, during the administration of Corazon Aquino, the North Main Line was closed, with trains unable to reach various provinces in the country. Even the South Rail was also closed due to typhoons and floods, and the eruption of Mayon volcano in 1993, in which ash flows and lava destroyed the rail line and its facilities. However, jeeps, buses and taxis were popular, and many people are swayed from the present service until 2009. The previous administration of Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo was actively pursuing the rehabilitation of the Philippine National Railways through various investments and projects designed to revive Philippine rail transport, despite the numerous problems involved. Total reconstruction of rail bridges and tracks, including replacement of the current 35-kilogram track with newer 50-kilogram tracks and the refurbishing of stations, were part of the rehabilitation and expansion process. The first phase, converting all the lines of the Manila metropolitan area, were completed in 2009. On July 14, 2009, Philippine President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo presided over the launch of the new diesel multiple units of the Philippine National Railways. As part of its new image, a new brand name, PN Track was added. The San Cristobal Bridge in Calamba, Laguna was rebuilt in May 2011. The Bicol Express train service was inaugurated on June 29, with a maiden voyage between Manila and Naga City plus a return trip back to the terminus on July 1. This inaugural trip was marred by the collapse of the embankment at Malaguico, Sipocot. It was discovered before the train passed through and was repaired. The restored Bicol Express intercity service is offered nowadays on a daily basis, running mostly during nighttime. Operations and services. The PNR currently operates in the Manila metropolitan area and the provinces of Laguna, Quezon, Camarines Sur and Albay. In the past, the PNR also used to serve the provinces of Bulacan, Pampanga, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Pangasinan and La Union on the North Main Line, and Batangas on the South Main Line. Metro Commuter equals. The Metro Commuter, which was formerly called Commuter Express, serves as the commuter rail service for the Manila metropolitan area, extending as far south as Calamba City, Laguna. The PNR uses GE locomotives such as 900 class, 2500 class, and 5000 class hauling COMEX passenger cars as well as newly procured 18 Hyundai Rotem DMUs and KI-52 for this service. 203 series EMUs are now also used for Metro commuter runs. MSC service using the new DMUs, KI-52, and 203 series EMUs is currently offered between Tutuban and Alabang in Muntinlupa City, while a daily MSC run between Manila and Calamba City, Laguna runs using GE locomotives and 203 series EMUs. Currently, MSC trains make 60 daily trips, 30 in each direction. Bicol Commuter equals. The Bicol Commuter service is a commuter rail service in the Bicol Region, between stations in Tagkawayan, Quezon and Ligao City, Albay, with Naga City and Camarines Sur acting as a central terminus, the center of transportation. The service was launched on September 16, 2009, in time for the Feast of Our Lady of P ± Afrancia in Naga City. The trains make 7 trips a day, alternating between Tagkawayan, Sipocot, Naga as the terminus. All services use KI-52 in revised blue livery. The service, since 2015, has been also expanded to serve passengers from Albay with stops in Daraga and Legazpi, Albay, with yet another DMU pressed into service. Premier Train equals. The Premier Train service is a commuter rail service introduced on March 3, 2014 and uses JRKI-59 Kagain trainset. The Premier Train originates from Tutuban Terminal and stops at Bloom Trite, Aspar ± Santa Mesa, Buendia, EDSA, Sucat, Alabang, San Pedro, Bia ± and in Santa Rosa stations. Fares cost PHP 60 to PHP 90. This train service was supposed to be removed on May 23, 2014 because they will use modified 203 series EMUs that will stop at all stations between Tutuban Terminal and Santa Rosa Station to cater more passengers. It was replaced by the 203 series on June 25, 2014. Shuttle service equals. The shuttle service is a commuter rail service introduced on January 27, 2014. This service uses Hyundai Rotem DMUs and JRKI-52. There are 4 routes of the shuttle service, where trains stop at all stations along the routes. 2. Su, 2, Za, Su, SA. This train service was removed last May 23, 2014 to give way to maintenance servicing of the rolling stocks. Another reason was due to the consecutive 3 weeks of delays and cancellations of this train service. Bicol Express equals. The PNR has been working for some years on restoring this intercity service. On May 22, 2011, a test run from Tutuban to Naga City proved successful. Services are set to resume on June 29, 2011, with an inaugural run to Naga from Tutuban. A return trip from Naga City to Manila was also successful. After this success, Bicol Express was reintroduced on a daily basis. A trip takes approximately 10 hours. The train travels mostly during nighttime, leaving Tutuban at 18:30 and arriving Naga City at 4 o'clock next day. The trip designator is train T611 for the southbound and train T612 for the northbound. As of September 2013, operations to the Bicol region have been suspended. This is primarily because of typhoon damage to bridges. The PNR hoped to reopen the Bicol Express service by about September 2014. However, as of April 2015 services had still not been resumed. May Unlimited equals, as of March 16, 2012, anticipating the heavy demand during the Holy Week, another train, the May Unlimited, leaves Tutuban heading to Ligao. The train runs as Mayon Deluxe on Monday, Wednesday and Friday from Tutuban as train T713 with 3 air-conditioned carriages with reclining seats. The train returns from Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday as train T714 from Ligao. On Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays the train runs as ordinary train with non-reclining seats and cooling by fan. The departure as train T816 is every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. The train does not run on Saturdays. The trains meet at Camarca. The Mayon Limited was hauled alternatively by French Alstom locomotives and General Electric locomotives, and ran northward from Legazpi Railway Station up the steep gradient leading to Camalik Railway Station in the foothills of the Mayon volcano with another locomotive pushing from the rear. The Manila-Legazpi route was also served by the Mayon Limited service, using the Mayon Limited Special, the fastest and the most modern train of the Philippine National Railways operating on the South Main Line. As of September 2013, all operations to the Bicol Region, including the Mayon Limited, have been suspended. Defunct Services intercity services although the Southern Luzon intercity services has occasionally operated in recent years, some of its branches are defunct such as the Batangas City Intercity Railways. Efforts are underway to restore both services. Northern Line Intercity that once serviced by Amianan Express and the Dagupan Express has permanently ceased operation. Prestige and P plus or minus Afrancia Express, the old Prestige service used Japanese-built, self-propelled coaches and was the only train not to be hauled by General Electric locomotives. It was frequently the first of the 3 express trains to arrive. With priority over all other trains on its route, and calling only at Daraga, Ligao, Naga, Lucena, and Paco. It normally arrived at the Tutuban Railway Station, Manila's Central, making it a popular service with businessmen. The 48-seater air-conditioned coaches of the Prestige were somewhat narrower and lower than those built in Madras, which also contributed to the faster run. Express services, the PNR also operated several express services. Some of these services were discontinued for financial reasons. The first express service for Luzon was the Baguio Express, which operated from Manila via San Fabian, Pangasinan to Camp 1, where the motor vehicles, namely the Stanley and De Dion steamers, of the Benguet Auto Line transport passengers proceeding to Baguio. Another express service was the Locos Express, which lasted until the 1980s. This began operating in 1930 and had a dining car with catering provided by the Manila Hotel. Following the modernization program of the Manila Railway Company in 1955, the Locos Express featured a 7A Class Deluxe coach until 1979, when the lack of operable air-conditioned coaches caused a switch to a tourist class coach. The company also operated the Panikay Express in the 1930s, but that was eclipsed by the Locos Express. The fastest train operated by the PNR on the North Main Line was the Locos Special during the 1970s. This diesel multiple-unit train took 4 hours to run the 195 kilometers between Manila and Dagupan City. The PNR also introduced the Amianan Day Express in February 1974 on the Amianan Night Express, the last train to depart Manila for any destination on both lines. The Amianan Night Express ran faster than its day counterpart, the Amianan Day Express, making the 260-kilometer run to San Fernando City, La Union in 5 hours. Non-passenger services The PNR used to offer freight services, using General Electric U-15C-900 series locomotives bought by the company in 1974. There was also a limited mobile hospital service. Stations. The Philippine National Railways used to operate 2 different rail lines, namely the North Main Line and the South Main Line, along with the 3 spur lines, which served various parts of Luzon with its 138 active stations. Station layout all PNR stations were and are presently at grade, using a side platform layout. Most have only basic amenities, platforms and ticket booths. Rehabilitated stations along the Metro Manila line have been fitted with ramps for passengers using wheelchairs. Several stations have extended platforms, having an upper platform catering to DMU services, and a lower platform for regular locomotive hauled services. Plans to rehabilitate and expand the railway network have been made by various administrations. South Korea and the People's Republic of China have offered to help rehabilitate the Philippine railway system, the former assisting with the rehabilitation and modernization of the South Main Line and the latter helping to finance, build, and operate a rationalized North Main Line service as well as helping to rehabilitate and modernize the South Main Line. South Rail Project The Korean-funded section covers the South Rail line from Manila to Calamba City, although present funding covers only the South Rail line from Calcan City to Muntinlupa City, which serves as the Green Line-Orange Line connection. The Chinese-funded section covers the line from Calamba to Legazpi and further on to Matnog, Sorsogon. The Korean-funded South Rail project was originally expected to cost some $50 million but costs have risen to around $70 a euro $100 million. No figures have been released for the Chinese-funded portion of South Rail. North Rail Project The North Rail project involved the upgrading of the existing single-track to an elevated dual-track system, converting the rail gauge from narrow gauge to standard gauge, and linking Manila to Malolos City and Bulacan and further on to Angeles City, Clark Special Economic Zone and the Clark International Airport. This project was estimated to cost around $500 million, with China offering to provide some $400 million in concessionary financing. Preparatory construction began in early November 2006. Due to delays in the construction work, it was soon being renegotiated with the Chinese government. Construction temporarily continued in January 2009 with the support of the North Luzon Railways Corporation. Again, the project was cancelled in March 2011, due to a series of delays, work stoppages, a controversy and anomalies with the foreign contractor. The railway project was contracted out by the Arroyo administration in 2003 to China National Machinery and Equipment Corporation for an original cost of $421 million. In 2009, CNMEC increased the contract price to $593 million, with the government agreeing to shoulder the difference. The government loaned $400 million from China Euro unregistered trademark S-Exim Bank to fund the project, with the balance sourced from the Development Bank of the Philippines. In 2011, the Aquino administration scrapped the project on lingering legal issues and corruption allegations. The Philippine Supreme Court handed down in March 2012 a decision giving a lower court the go signal to hear the case calling for the annulment of the allegedly overpriced contract. Instead of settling the entire $184 million due in 2012, the Department of Finance will pay Export-Import Bank of China for equal payments of $46 million starting September 2012. National Economic and Development Authority Director General Arsenio Balasacan said the 80-kilometer North Rail project would resume within the term of President Benigno Aquino III. The Department of Transportation and Communications has examined reviving the project by commissioning a feasibility study by CPCS Transcom Limited of Canada. Part of the study examined having a Malolos Tutuban Calamba Los Bor plus or minus Os commuter line. Rolling stock. 4 types of rolling stock run on PNR's lines: the locomotives, the Comex Express cars, baggage cars and DRC rail cars. All services were operated by GE Universal Series locomotives and Hyundai Rotem DMUs. There were 14 locomotives, 18 diesel multiple units, 2 baggage cars and 8 DRC rail cars currently operating. Surplus sleeper coaches from Japan Railways were recently acquired by PNR, and were delivered on November 2010. More used rolling stock from Japan Railways was recently acquired by PNR, and arrived in 2011, which included some 203 Series EMU, Kiha 52 and Kagain train. Gallery. See also, Department of Transportation and Communications, List of Philippine National Railways stations, Panao Railways, Rail transport in the Philippines, Strong Republic Transit System. References. Further reading Aranza, Roger Leo. The Role of Traffic Engineering and Management in Metro Manila. Workshop paper presented in the Regional Workshop, Transport Planning, Demand Management and Air Quality, February 2002, Manila, Philippines. Asian Development Bank. World Bank. Project appraisal document for the Metro Manila Urban Transport Integration Project. World Bank. Japan International Cooperation Agency official page Revitalization of Main Line South Project, 1989. External links, Philippine National Railways, official Facebook page of Philippine National Railways, Facebook page of Philippine Railways, Twitter page of Philippine Railways.